We are going to deal firmly and we are going to deal decisively with corruption.
The president has no intention whatsoever to have his contract terminated by the people of Kenya.
The shilling has continued to fall against the dollar.
This memo is about one Moses Kuria.
Sasa rais yako Marekani, Ligiji yako Colombia, Musali yako London, na mimi ndio nimekalia.
You have a member of parliament in as the preferred presidential candidate.
President William Ruto attack on the judiciary.
I, Jonas Hospita Dongo, do swear that I will at all times.
I'm Alan Hubbard.
I am Boniface Miriko.
This is Debatable. Agree to disagree.
Good evening and welcome to yet another session of Debatable. It has been a weekend of AFCON and we are here discussing with Alan not about AFCON but about something else in East Africa.
Yeah.
As you can read in our title today is about East Africa and the economy about East Africa and the tussle in between our economies. Alan, you are telling me something about Rwanda and Congo.
And its prosperity.
Yes.
And let them welcome. You are all welcome to this magnificent, magnificent delivery of opinions. Yeah, we are the opinionated ones. Yeah, yes. But of course it is debatable. You can agree or disagree. So what this person was telling me that when you look at how Rwanda is positioned. And its growth has been so rapid. Yeah, they do not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rwanda does not have any mineral resources.
If they do, it's minimal.
Okay, it's minimal. Yeah. And when you look at the population of Rwanda in terms of yes, it's an educated population.
Yeah.
But how fast do they turn around and then they get employed and then they start paying taxes that then the government would rely on to deliver the services that they are delivering right now? And not only deliver the services, but also put up the infrastructure to support all of this.
Yeah.
So what this gentleman was telling me that Rwanda discovered something in DR Congo, and apparently based off of his submission that Rwanda and Kagame as a whole, they are controlling the richest part of Congo. That is Kivu and Goma.
Yeah.
And how so? How are they controlling it? They are in charge of the airspace of that Eastern Congo. And that is one aspect. The other aspect, Rwanda used to pay Tanzania for its airspace.
Yeah.
And Kagame was able to cut that off, and now Rwanda are in control of their what? Of their airspace. So that money that they used to pay out, they are keeping it into their own country. There's some time that even Kagame alluded to creating a gold refinery in Rwanda. Why will you create a gold refinery in your country and you do not mine gold? Where is this where is this gold coming from? You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
But then we know Congo, the DR Congo, is a French-speaking country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So which other superpower that speaks French?
In Africa.
In the world?
That's France.
That's France.
Yeah.
So that means the French were doing some business in the DR Congo. And Kagame, Paul Kagame, president of Rwanda, found them out. And this gave me the realization as to why Kagame, as a president of Rwanda, has the, let me call it audacity, and the bravado to speak to the West the way he wants. Are you starting to connect the dots?
I am connecting the dots.
Because he knows something that the West or people who are benefiting off of Congo do not want him to tell the world.
Yeah.
And also, when you look at how long has the conflict in Congo lasted?
Decades.
Yeah. So that means if somebody really wanted to solve that problem, they could have solved it.
That is true. Absolutely true.
If somebody really wanted to solve that problem, they could have solved it. So nobody wants to solve that problem
Yeah.
because it is profitable
Yes.
to them.
Yes.
Why do you think that France went ahead and lose its popularity in other Western African countries that they held control over? Because they saw that, if Rwanda can push you around
Yeah.
and do what you want it to do, or it wants you to do, guess what? It's time up for you as well.
Uh-huh.
So that's why we saw all the coups that also started happening where?
In Africa, West Africa.
In West Africa.
Yeah.
What happened in countries like
Burkina Faso,
Mali,
Mali,
Gabon,
yeah.
and Mali.
Yeah.
When you look at all of these countries, they are French-led.
Yeah.
Because these countries looked at what Kagame was able to do, and they're like, so you're not even that powerful, yeah? Somebody can push you around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that sort of revelation or that sort of conversation made me understand, one, the start of the coups in these other Western African countries, particularly French-led, but also where exactly Rwanda is getting its prosperity. And it's such a small nation with a nation that does not have or that is not big on the systems that they have put in place. But then you would give it to Kagame with how, if all this, what I'm submitting is correct, then you'd give it to the president of Rwanda with what he has been able to do, to achieve in his country. And this also tells you the kind of powerhouse Kagame is. And now this also explains why the West, and Buddy, this is why I was telling you, or this is why the entire last part of the year, we need to redefine what really democracy means for us as a continent. So the West is pushing Kagame to be democratic. Not because they really need him to be democratic, but because if he is deposed as the president, then whoever comes in as president do or does as they wish them to do. So who is at a disadvantage? Because if then Kagame stops to be president, then that means that whoever comes in will have to play by the playbook, because it's the West that influenced that particular person to become president in Rwanda. This is debatable.
Agree to disagree. Well, I agree for the better part of what you're saying. I've read extensively about Congo and Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda, the way they relate. And because now we're talking about East Africa, is a very good place to start, because we have a crisis that is happening between Congo and the larger EAC community.
Yeah.
And of course, the allegations that Rwanda is supporting the M23.
The M23, yes. Yeah.
Are likely true, because it's we've heard it from very many quarters that Rwanda has a hand in this. And as you've explained that, you have this rich side of Congo, which is the Kivu, South Kivu, etc., which
and
is
Goma
bordering,
and all of that.
Yeah, that is bordering Rwanda.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that these people, at some point, they wanted to secede from the larger Congo to become another country.
Yeah.
And there is the invisible hand of Kagame can be seen in all this. In that you even see that Burundi, just the other day, Burundi closed its borders with Rwanda out of these allegations, because Burundi also has its forces in Congo.
Yeah.
And they interact with all these people, and, well, they know. Something also surprising is that, Congo is a very, very big country.
Yeah.
And the vastness is also bringing challenges in terms of management. You find that Eastern Congo, the Kivu and these parts that are really
rich in minerals,
they use our ports. It is easier and cheaper for them to get goods from Mombasa compared to the Western Congo. So you find them reliable to
so
the
much
east.
onto the east part of the east of Africa.
Of Africa than Congo, the larger Congo. So you find that this region is secluded, and to some extent, it is becoming autonomous.
Yeah.
And someone is benefiting from that. We've even heard that sometimes also Uganda also has a hand in it, that it has some interest, also because it's bordering the eastern part of Congo.
Yeah.
And, also the ADF is there. Also, Uganda is trying to fight. So there is an entire discussion in terms of the economics and the political as well, because now we find that Tshisekedi has won another term.
Yeah.
And this other term now, he's trying to look south to SADC to give him the support that he wants to end this. But I don't think this is going to end, because on other things that I read, that Tshisekedi can also be also involved in all these things that are going on in Congo. Of course, this is not validated, but we read a lot, and these are what we're finding.
You see, one thing that I would like our viewers, we said we are going to be very deliberate this year in terms of speaking our mind, and not that we're taking political stances, but in terms of helping our viewers to help them understand where really their leaders' interests lie. And when you say that Tshisekedi might have interests in what is happening in Congo, how different would he be from the late Mzee who was leading Congo? I tend to forget. Yeah, Joseph Kabila. And at that entire lineage. All these are basically. This is how I look at presidents. Presidents are agents of big businessmen and women in a country. Who come to sort of control interests of a minute cabal, of people who look at them. I think last week I called them who have higher moral standing than than others. So if we look at presidents and leaders in that moral, and this is a very huge allegation, but if we get to understand, or if we let us not call them corrupt entirely, but let us look at it this way, that even them as the president, they have interests.
Yes, they do.
Them putting all that. Who would want to run a country that has been in conflict for the past 70 years?
No one.
Absolutely no one. So if you're willing to put your stress, if Bola Tinubu is willing, a 78-year-old man who is already a billionaire in not only even in assets, but also in banknotes, that he's willing to take on a vast country as Nigeria to still lead it, that is a man who has got interests, and his interests shall be met. So citizens of a country or citizens of Africa, we should get to understand that all our leaders, when they come into power, they have interests. And I am not exempting the West, but the West, you would find that most people go into leadership and that is who they want to be. Because you could try and name millionaire or billionaire presidents in the West. You couldn't find any. It is hard to find any. I think actually it's Donald Trump, one of the few presidents, if we look at selectively the United States, who came into politics, and these are people who made money before they came into politics. But when you come on the African continent, these are people that, yes, they have made their money through politics, and now when they become presidents, they are looking at how do we exacerbate our wealth. And these are the people that we say that have our interests at heart. We have our priorities misplaced.
We have our priorities misplaced because if at all this person has an interest and goes into power, then the first order of business is to take care of themselves than anyone else.
Absolutely.
So you come second, whereas you're supposed to come first. I remember there's some time Australia had some fire, and someone actually met the then Prime Minister. And a citizen scolded the Prime Minister.
Yes.
It was live on media. So we find that some things like these or events like this cannot happen in Africa.
Try to scold the president of one of the countries that we know.
Even you cannot even go near that.
You will not live.
It will be a chain of people that will face the circumstances.
Yes.
Who was holding the camera? Whose media house was there? Whose media house was it? Who is the chief editor? Who gave these people the license to broadcast? So it will be a line of things. Even when you look at you bring a good example of Australia.
Yeah.
I remember even with the United States, there was a devastating tornado that happened. I think in some region in the United States, and the people felt that the president Joe Biden wasn't giving enough attention to that particular place. They called him out.
I think it was Hawaii the other day.
Yeah,
there was volcano or something.
Volcano, even wildfires, I think.
Wildfires.
Yeah, wildfires.
Yeah.
And people in Hawaii and the entire United States were like, by the way, Mr. President, you're not giving enough attention to this particular place as you're supposed to be. And the president responded.
Yeah.
That is what you'd call leadership. Close home.
Yeah.
Samia Suluhu, there was a landslide in her country, miners, illegal miners. She did not go onto the podium and start saying that, oh, we warned those people. She was saying, okay, these are people who are trying to look for food for their families, to try and fend for their families. We know as the government we are supposed to do more by making our mines secure, but they still lost their lives. So a president that sort of brings people together and a president that is responsive to the needs of her or his people. I think those are the types of leadership that we want to go to walk towards.
Absolutely.
And speaking about Tanzania, I don't know when this tussle between Kenya and Tanzania is going to end. So apparently, Tanzania has suspended Kenya Airways flights after Kenya blocked cargo operations.
You know, the sibling rivalry between Tanzania and Kenya, I think we're going to see it for the foreseeable future because these two countries, we well know that Tanzania is able, and we have discussed here for quite some time, Tanzania is well and able to be an economic powerhouse for the East Africa. Because it has all the measures to be a powerhouse, even greater than Kenya. You remember that Tanzania was before greater than Kenya. It was only in the late 80s that Kenya surpassed Tanzania. And basically it's because of the system that Kenya has and Tanzania had that time. It was mostly communism and Kenya was capitalist, so it grew faster. But right now, Tanzania is catching up because it is implementing capitalist policies as well.
But before you continue, I think they are doing it in a better way, because if you ask me what would I subscribe to, definitely I will subscribe to capitalism. But also putting profits ahead of people still does not take you so far.
Of course, it doesn't.
Yeah,
because
and I think Tanzania are sort of marrying the two. They're sort of trying to find a common ground. Yes, I will do business, but I also want to look at community so that we can grow together.
They already have that background of Ujamaa. So that one sets in, and now if you bring up capitalist measures, now they try to marry the two and bring a very good policy, economic policy for the country. So that is why I think we're seeing that Tanzania is coming up really fast against Kenya. That being said, we've seen for quite some time that these two countries have had economic policies that are conflicting. You remember during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, we had the maize scandal. Is it the maize or
maize,
goods?
eggs?
Yes,
there was a long list of commodities
that got held at the border for quite some time. So I think these are going to happen for quite some time. I've not gone through this developing story, but I think this is something that the two countries will continue having. That being said, I think the closest country to Kenya is Tanzania, as well as Tanzania to Kenya.
But I think, such fights are good. Such fights are good. They keep you on toes. They keep you on toes, and they keep also each. Looking at this as a Kenyan, it makes me happy because it sort of reminds our leaders that you're not the big boys, you're not the big guys in this. When you have sort of a bully for a government, they tend to think that we are the leaders in this particular region, and they tend to slow down on the things that they are supposed to do to make sure that you remain competitive. So if the president, now this is Kenyan President William Ruto, is looking, and his entire cabinet, and I would particularly single out Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ndungu and boss of CBK. If then you look at what Tanzania is doing to position itself economically, that investors are moving from Kenya, they're going to Tanzania, that must raise areas. That must raise your antennas and say, okay, we do not want to entirely copy what they're doing, but what are they doing right that we need to enhance? Because success leaves footprints. Yeah.
Yes,
If it worked in the 70s, why can't it work in the 2000s? You get. And I think then that would make sure that Kenya does remain competitive.
That is true.
Yeah,
that
there is
true.
another tussle that is happening in East Africa, and this has taken the longest time. We've known that Ruto and Museveni, they are buddies or they are friends, at least per the pictures that or the sentiments that existed during the electioneering time. And probably early starting of this year. But I never understand why Museveni still takes those long-range photos. He's seated on this other side. And then he's seated on the other side. That's just for laughs. But still there was a tussle between Uganda and Kenya, particularly on the oil partnership. How do you see that ending?
They're going to have a deal. Someone opined somewhere that Kenya is the best, gives the best deal to Uganda in terms of shipping oil from the port. While Tanzania might have the largest port, the largest coastline and everything, Kenya gives Uganda the best deal in terms of distance as well as distribution. Because when the goods enter the port, the border of Malaba, it's easy to distribute in the country. So, as we've discussed right now, it is beneficial for both countries to have these kind of disagreements and agreements to come up with the best solution, because times are changing and of course policies are changing, and also regimes are changing.
Absolutely.
And with the change in regimes, of course, we're going to have different policies. So I think they're settling in. They're settling in on the disagreements. The best thing is that they are still talking. Uganda said they're going to take Kenya to the East African Court. We're yet to see the proceedings in that. And you also opine that you're waiting to see the lawyer that will represent Kenya.
Yeah, absolutely. They might call up our guy. What is his name? Abdul Nasir.
Grand
Mullah. Yeah. Come with tough English.
Yeah.
So my guy Cliff Ombeta.
Yeah. So it's beneficial, but I think they're going to settle in, and Uganda eventually will just agree to what they will get from Kenya. That being said, I know there is the EACOP pipeline that is passing from Uganda all the way to Tanzania to the port in Dar es Salaam, I bet. So they're going to have also agreements on that side, but I don't think it's going to affect the transport of oil from Mombasa.
Talking about that pipeline, I CS for Treasury Kenya, CS Ndungu said that Kenya would pull out of that pipeline because he said that it's not beneficial to Kenya, to Kenya in particular. But also what is quite interesting is that, Uganda might be buying time. Yeah, Uganda just might go into a deal with Kenya, but it is just buying time for that pipeline to be completed. Because if I'm going to do business with you, and you always put me in a sort of a stronghold for me to be able to agree on your terms, then I'm definitely working to find other solutions to find a way to get goods and produce to my country. There is something I would like to bring your attention to because I am live here following some of the things that are happening in the country. So what is happening right now, the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, it's a live broadcast that is ongoing right now. We are on the precipice of a constitutional crisis. And this would come. You saw the utterances that the Deputy President made over the weekend.
Yes, he called out a certain judge.
Yeah, he called out, I think she's called Grace Minor. This is a judge that was in charge of his quote-unquote or alleged corruption case.
Yeah.
And where exactly are we headed with this type of politicking and attacks on, or you could call them salvos or attacks, or however you might want to term them? Where are we going with them?
Well, 2024, as we said, we are not going to rant, and we're not going to defend different sides just because we want to defend them. I will say it in a democratic country, it is not right for the bigwigs in the country, the president, the deputy, to blatantly call out the judiciary in public and tell them this and that and what they're supposed to do. It is not right for them to do that because the judiciary is a full arm of the government. It has its president
Yeah.
who can organize anything. If anything, the president can have a meeting with the president of the courts,
Yeah.
that is the chief justice, and the delegation there, and they can come to an agreement. So for them to just go out and to the court of public opinion
Yeah.
and try to justify themselves, it brings up questions about chains of command and how they're supposed to work together. Because in a democracy, we expect the three arms of government, that is the executive, judiciary, and the legislature, to work together for the benefit of the mwananchi.
Yeah.
So if the three arms are not working together, it means that somewhere, somewhere, delivery is not being done in the right manner.
Yeah.
So this is taxpayer money at the end of the day. All these people are being paid by taxpayer money. So we expect them to, at the very least, have an agreement between the two of them and sit down and have maybe a discussion on how to go about these things, because it is undemocratic what you're seeing right now.
It's rather interesting because this takes me to the Debatable episode that we did last week.
Yeah.
Though still, it's sort of, we saw where it was going. We asked the president to name some of the people, but the deputy president was like, I'm ready. I have some names for you.
The deputy president always listens to us.
So he's like, they have called for it.
Yes,
Let me give it to them.
Yeah.
You see, as a leader, then you don't only lead, but you also protect.
Yes.
What sort of impediments does the deputy president create for the justice or for the judge by mentioning their names blatantly in public like that? Because then the deputy president has supporters. What if their supporters decide, okay, it is you who is targeting our person, then let us take actions or matters in our own hands. But also one that I would fault the judiciary in this. You are the protector of the constitution. You as the chief justice also, you do not just go out and tell the people now, okay, now bring us the names. Give us a process. What process are we going to use for us to be able now to bring? Are we going to raise a commission of inquiry? Are we? Is this? What exactly are we going to be able to do procedures that you are suggesting as the chief justice for the public to bring forth those charges that they consider or that they deem corrupt? And the very person who has been advocating or pushing this awareness of corruption in the judiciary, that is none other than Grand Mullah, also came out and called out the deputy president and said, although I do not agree with the justice all the time, but she's not one of the corrupt ones. So I'm also wondering, you as the Grand Mullah, can you also spare us this anticipation? All this, as if we are in an episode of House of Cards. We're just waiting for the cards to crumble, and then we are surprised and all of this. If you know the names as well, you are a highly valued lawyer in the country. You could also provide a way forward, so that the country does not stay so long in this particular state that we find ourselves in.
That is true. That is true. The Chief Justice has a role to play as well, because as I've called her right now, she is also the president of the courts. She is supposed to show that leadership to make sure that we get through whatever we are facing right now. And her leadership can be seen in different manner. She can decide to have a caucus with the judges and invite the judiciary, invite the president as an invitee in that meeting, of course.
Will our president show?
It will be a good gesture.
Extending olive branches.
Yes, so that they can come up with something, because we are not going to solve these problems that they are showing us. Every day you're telling Kenyans that this is happening. We gave you a mandate to go and lead the country. By leading the country, you're leading everyone. So leadership issues you are supposed to solve them. You're not supposed to tell us that, oh, this is happening, or this is happening. Solve it.
Bibi yangu alinipiga, bwanangu alinipiga.
Exactly.
The question that I was going to ask as well is from a civic engagement point of view, then what can we do as citizens? Because I like what the president of the Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Eric Theuri, has been doing, and coming out boldly and say, okay, this should not be allowed to pass. But from a debater's point of view, or from debaters' point of views, then what are we able to do in such a situation?
Well, it is a bit tough to really come out and say that this is exactly what we'll do, because we can go to the streets and demonstrate them. It will not really solve the issue, because this issue is departmental. Of course, also it depends with the offices high above, and the two major offices are supposed to come into an agreement about what they are doing. If there is corruption in the judiciary, then they're supposed to come with mechanism that are going to show that these people are corrupt. What citizens can do maybe is to come up with a way in which we can identify corrupt officials in the judiciary, a way in which we can call out these people and make sure that, it all lies with the burden of proof at the end of the day. I can call out a judge and say that this judge is corrupt, but if I don't have proof to show it,
then you're making a lot of noise.
It is just noise. So we have to maybe to come up with a way in which we can show that, or maybe, we in police we have IPOA. Maybe we can have a similar thing to the judiciary that will check the judiciary. That being said, also the salvos that are being weighed from the executive are really unwanted. They're causing unwanted tensions and issues around the country.
And graduating onto another conversation, and I hope that the citizens have heard what they could be able to do. But graduating onto another conversation, we have done a number of shows on this platform, so there is ground to hold everybody accountable to things that they have said before.
Yes. That one is just reserved for me. Continue.
You're like, okay, I know where we are going. So where I'm going with this is we've in some shows I've opined that a fallout between the president and the deputy president is imminent. Either not this electioneering period, or not electioneering period, not this particular term, but probably the next term. And this has started unfolding slowly by slowly, where we saw, was it 15 or 13 members?
15.
Members of our parliament from the Central Kenya region, who outrightly endorsed the MP for Kiharu, Ndidi Nyoro, to be the presidential candidate in 2023. Not even in 2027, but in 2032. But you're here as the deputy president. What does this mean? And should our man, Regi G, who listens to us all the time, should he be worried?
Well, I can also add to that. I think it's today they also say that in 2027, the president should change the deputy president to be Ndindi Nyoro for the rest of the term. It was evident and it was imminent in this manner that...
So you're just trying to beat around the bush.
In this manner that the people of the mountain will be split. Because the center right now does not hold. In what way? You don't have the top ranking leader of the country. So however much the deputy president can try to galvanize the region, and this is a very big region, it's the biggest region in this country, however much he can try, he cannot be able to really grasp the entire region. You remember when the deputy president was when the president was the deputy president, he tried as well to galvanize the
Bonde la
Ufa
region.
But there was Gideon Moi, and Gideon Moi was taking the larger part of South Rift. The Kina Kabarak, the Kina Nakuru, some parts. So as long as you're not the president, it is not very easy to galvanize the entire region and say that you can maneuver this region by your own.
Yeah.
This happened also with what happened with the Luya vote.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone, I think this is last year sometime, and we said that as long as your community does not have the presidency, it will not be easy for you to just have one voice. It will not be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now, other leaders in that area can view themselves almost as equal to a deputy president, you know, but no one can be equal to the president. It's as simple as that. So the central vote will be split. Coming to the 2027, there is a risk. There is a very high risk that if they don't really take care of it, it can be split further. Some people have also opined that it is a game for from the president to have divide and rule kind of way, so that you can just scatter them, then gather them. Remember the way Mudavadi, even Mudavadi usually said, you scatter them, then
you gather them together.
So maybe it's something to keep them busy all through the 5 years. Then after the 5 years, you say, oh, you know what?
The water simmer.
Yeah.
It is my man, Reggie.
Of course.
Let us continue.
That can be a political game. But however much you can try to put it, however you can discuss it, at the end of the day, the future of this country is going to have two different sides. And these two different sides are going to be seen in every community.
Yeah.
And that is the future of this country that I'm seeing, I'm foreseeing, that we are going to have two different sides in every community, just the way the Western vote has always been.
Yeah,
we have two different sides in every
community, in every election, and also as Nairobi has always been.
Yes.
Though Nairobi has sort of tried to be loyal people to only one affiliate, one particular party, but of course always the votes sometimes they are split. You know, we find ourselves at or not even we find the deputy president finds himself at a very interesting intersection, and I wonder how he sucks up all that courage to go in. I do not obviously expect him to do anything drastic, but how he is able, because Ndindi Nyoro, not downplaying what he's able to do, but he's only a member of parliament. And you are a whole standing deputy president. And I think this is the problem when you sort of skip. You know, and I do not say this because people have to sort of follow the conventional rule, but the conventional route. But these are some of the problems when you skip some ranks to go into certain positions. I think the deputy president was so unripe for the deputy presidency position, and we know why he was selected, because he was a confidant for former president, so he was the best person to deal with the former president, because he knew all his dealings, he knew where it would hurt most, he knew the things that he would tell the people of the central region that would enable them to sort of despise the choices of the former president. So he was the man for the right job, for the job at that particular time. But question is, will he still be the right man for the job the coming 2027? And probably no, because when you look at what Ndindi Nyoro is doing, even in his constituency, everybody is singing. He's singing. The members of parliament are whatever a name. And when you also look at his business acumen, the power that he sort of has in all these conglomerates and state and our sort of businesses in the country, you see that this is a person who is placing himself strategically to come off of as somebody.
If I can borrow your thought on that before you continue, when President Kenyatta left power, he left a vacuum. You know, and he didn't point a person that would succeed him in the mountain. He only left, and the person who came in was actually against him. So there is a vacuum. There is still a vacuum in that people don't still have a person who they can be so much loyal to as much as they were loyal to the president, President Uhuru Kenyatta. So that gap now brings a lot of competition from different people. I saw they were saying that, the president, we've had 2 presidents from Kiambu, that is Kenyatta 1 and Kenyatta 2, and we had a president from Nyeri. And now we have had a deputy president from Nyeri, and now Murang'a needs its fair share. So they are starting to have that conversation, and that is not a very good conversation.
Absolutely, because then how do we? Because the conversation has always been, and this is the selfish nature of our leaders that we're even talking about in the first part. Now it has gone from a conversation of all communities in Kenya. Now it has now gone down to the minute regions within certain communities. Because how would you say that, we've had 2 presidents from Kiambu, we've had 2 other presidents from Nyeri, now we need another president, now we need a president from Murang'a. What happens to actually Karachonyo came to my mind the first, even though I wanted to say places like Mombasa or places like Marsabit, Wajir.
So it's selfish. It's selfish in a way, and that is a conversation that is a pit hole that they should not go into. If they are wise enough, that is a pit hole that they should, because if you start that conversation, you're never going to get out of it. So they should not.
To me, it sends entitlement vibes.
Yes.
If I could use language for the Gen Z, it gives out.
It gives entitlement.
It gives entitlement. It gives this entitlement vibe. But it is a sad state, and I wonder what the president. I've never had a wife. And I've never been married, so I don't know how it feels to have a wife or a husband that you do not really want to be with. But I wonder.
You wonder.
I wonder how the president then stands his deputy, or they work together in unison. Okay, definitely it's politics. You are able to suck up and do what you have to do, but I think it's a way that politics should not be played. We should be honest men of God.
In one way or another, the president will have to speak to Ndindi Nyoro and also speak to Rigathi Gachagua because their votes are going to matter in the coming election. Should you miss one, it's going to be very tough for the president to win genuinely the election that is going to come, because we are not looking at a position where he's going to flip a lot of votes from opposition sides. So he has to be very cautious.
Actually, most of them, I think, to be honest, most of them have already, even those that voted for him, they might have been converted into opposition votes already. Not unless, it always... it's sickening and it's bad, but it's also interesting. It's always interesting when I hear somebody who seemingly voted for the government have different opinions about the government now. And it's my business to console them. I always find it interesting. In the observance of time, there's still a number of stories that we need to cover. What the comments that Raila Odinga had while he was in Kisumu, calling out religious leaders and telling them, hey, you're sort of taking the government side on this issue about attacks towards the judiciary. And for some reason, the church these days has been a little bit pulled back in terms of coming out and calling out the government, and also the church sort of a vibe. Today we are speaking Gen Z language. The church vibe, where leaders are going outrightly into church and making pronouncements, has sort of slowed down.
You can remember the times of Archbishop Ndingi Mona Nzeki, when the church really came out boldly to question the government and tell the government that this is not right, this is not right. I can maybe give someone an example or a homework. Just go to Congo and listen to what the Catholic Church does there. They are very critical of the government. They tell the government that this is wrong and this is not supposed to work like that, because the church has a very important role in a society. If that society, of course, it's more Christian than other religions. So the church has a role to play, and the role of the church is to make sure that they give advisory counsel to the government as well as calling out if they see that the government is not going in the right way. I usually say that the church is like the alternative government. Do you know that if we maybe didn't have governments, we could have been led by church leaders, of course, as Rome was being led by sometimes by popes. So they are very organized. A church is a very organized institution, and it has the support of about everyone who attends that church. Of course, we say that in Kenya we are more than 80% Christian. So if that is the number that can call themselves Christian, and we have leaders who are revered and respected, then the church has a voice, and it has to project its voice right now, so that we don't come 2026 then they start saying that you're supposed to do this. We'll ask them, where were you when all these started to happen? So the responsibility,
when the rain started beating us,
the El Nino. So
the El Nino is still trying to prove a point.
The El Nino is still trying to prove a point.
And you're like, you cannot annoy us. So wezi tuongelelea na tukuachilie hivyo.
It's a very big eggshell on someone. So the church has a role, and they should come out to call out whatever they see that is not going in the right direction. I read somewhere something here about what we've been discussing, that President Museveni and Ruto are going to meet over the fuel import dispute.
Yeah, actually, that's why I even brought up the conversation, because there has been speculations of wrangles between the two countries, and we hope that either it gets solved, but in solving it, there is a loser and there is definitely a winner.
Of course.
I don't know who will checkmate the other first. But graduating on two matters, the case between Israel and the genocide case between Israel and South Africa, I think it's in its last pronouncements. There is nothing much that we can say about that. But geopolitics has sort of started playing out, because we saw the small island, Taiwan, held its elections, and they have a new president. You're actually saying that they voted like now, 3 hours later, the president was already announced.
And people are celebrating. President Lai has been elected as the duly elected president of Taiwan. Taiwan has a lot of stories if you want to discuss Taiwan, because it is part of China, then again is not part of China. I think I'll do a video about it. But the geopolitics between China and US are usually played out through Taiwan. How the US is going to treat China and how China is going to treat the US always depends on Taiwan. And they've elected someone who was not preferred by China. And now that is a win to the United States. But if you are keen enough to read and understand how these things play out, you'll find that the US also doesn't want Taiwan to be an independent state. As much as they like democracy and they preach democracy, they wouldn't want Taiwan to be an independent state. China wouldn't want Taiwan to be an independent state. So there is a confluence there that they agree on one thing, even though the US is a bit subtle on it. But you'll find that again that China, as much as it will want to take over annex Taiwan, the United States will not agree to that. So the United States will want, it's called, I think they term it as strategic ambiguity. They want Taiwan.
A lot of English right there.
They would like Taiwan to just remain in limbo, in between, so that they can balance their policies.
I think also referring to research that you have also been talking about here and referring to, because this year we are committed to giving people factual information that has been proofread and everything. One of the reasons why the Americas, or America as a country, does not want China for Taiwan to sort of be annexed by China, when Taiwan becomes a part of China, then they have lost a point where they get to sort of see the activity that China exactly is doing.
Exactly.
So that one is a strategic person or partner in terms of keeping an eye on what China is doing. South Korea is so far away from China for them to be able to rely, because we know South Korea, US, same boat.
Same boat.
Yeah. So so they want Taiwan to remain the way it is, so that they have the ability and the capacity to be able to look at what exactly China is doing, and so that they do not sort of to just check on them. Yes, you're not going to fight somebody. It's like somebody that I don't know why I'm giving so many relationship references today. Somebody that you are with, you never got over them entirely, so you don't want to really be with them, but you always check on them. Wanaendeleaje, wako na nani siku hizi, you get. So that is the sort of relationship that China and America and actually China wants to have Taiwan entirely, because it knows what the United States is doing through Taiwan. So they sort of want to close their borders and say, okay, bye-bye, nobody's spying on us.
And President Biden has been very, very critical about Taiwan and say that they will protect Taiwan in case of any attack. I also read somewhere that, if Taiwan will declare itself independent, free from any aggression from China, and China would want now to come and invade the island, the US will not interfere. They will let fate take place. But in any case, if China is the aggressor, if China from just a simple maybe discussion from within the CCP party will want to invade Taiwan without any aggression from Taiwan, then the US
would
will
come
defend.
full throttle.
Yes, will defend.
But also it's interesting. Taiwan does not also want to sort of delineate itself from China entirely, because also its economy, 50 or 60% of it is also reliant on China. So Taiwan is a baby, let's say that. Taiwan is a baby who does not know, do I love the mother most or do I love the father most?
And is benefiting in between.
You circle this side, you circle the other side. Big politics and has started in the United States, and today the lower caucuses, lower is a state in the United States, our caucuses are starting. This is particularly for the Republicans. Basically primaries are starting to happen, and voters in the whole of the United States are starting to vote against who of the Republican is going to be representing the Republicans in the election that is coming up in November. And it is quite interesting. Still Donald Trump still remains the favorite to take this one. Ron DeSantis, former governor or still governor of Florida, looks like his closest challenger, but he has not been sounding very convincing. So still Donald Trump. And it's interesting how Americans that support Donald Trump are negating all these issues of cases, court cases that are Donald Trump finds himself in, and we're just anticipating and waiting to see what next from these primaries.
If it was one case, two cases, then it could be easily believable. But I think the Democratic Party did a mess when they brought a barrage of cases, left, right, and center, just to attack one person. Then it seemed like a plot, and it seemed like what he likes to call a witch hunt.
This is a witch hunt.
So it is now beyond convincing to the followers of Republicans, the voters who support the Republican Party, that this person is guilty of something. So they're just seeing it as a witch hunt to try and derail him from campaigning or from vying. That being said, I think it's going to be a very, very hotly contested election this year. And also, as we've talked about Taiwan, it is going to be the election that is going also to decide how Taiwan is going to relate to China and to the United States, because the policies that Donald Trump has or showed to Taiwan were that he was very close to Taiwan, closer than how Biden is to Taiwan right now. So a lot is going to change, and as we're going by, we're going to discuss everything that is happening in the US.
You know, I found it very disheartening, but the Democrats do not have anything to do about this one.
Yeah.
We might have Donald Trump on the ballot.
It will be.
In the elections.
Yeah.
And we'll see. And actually, I think even Donald Trump knows that my only way out of all this is if I become president once again.
Yes.
Because honestly, that attack that happened in 2020, all that he did.
Yes.
Yeah. All that he did.
did.
So this is just a sort of political gimmicks, where you did something, but you're like, did you see me? Yeah, did you catch me? And all of that, because also some of the people, or most of the people that have been convicted of those particular cases, they said, yeah, we knew, and this is where we're getting our orders at. And actually, even as we speak, there are, I think, around 3 or 4 states that have already ruled on having Donald Trump on the ballot in their states. So we are also waiting to see, are other 46 states going to follow suit? But I think there are others who have already said, okay, that is not in our jurisdiction. We do not see how he was involved in that. So for us, he will be on the ballot. So it is going to be an interesting election.
And I think in the interest of the public, I think they will just let him vie, because he already has a lot of support from his background. So in the interest of the public, if the courts can also view in that light, they will allow him to just vie. If they want to corner him somewhere, they will corner him later on in the elections.
Yeah.
So that is just that. And also the Houthi rebels, they're trying to bring up tensions in the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah.
And is it the Red Sea or the Mediterranean Sea?
It is the Red Sea.
The Red Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that tension there as well. The US is involved.
The UK.
You find that Egypt and Saudi Arabia are not involved, but Egypt is suffering because these boats are not passing through the Suez Canal. So that is something that we'll also discuss in the future.
It's quite interesting, and many experts and political analysts and geopolitical analysts are saying low-key World War III is happening. Yeah, low-key World War III is happening, but we would not like to end the show on alarms. But I think that's all we've had for them this beautiful Monday evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, being your host, Alan Harbert.
Boniface Birikwa.
Debatable.